Hi, very good afternoon. It's Dean from Mavstar. You know, we need to start thinking about the future, and more importantly than just applying thought to the future, we need to start making very important decisions now as to how we are going to adapt when we see more of these robots more common in the workplace than what they are right now. We've all seen how the automotive industry has changed through robotics and how many jobs that have been replaced through not the most intelligent robots, but now we are about to see something new come onto the scene within about 5 to 10 years. And it should really be of great concern. And I'm very disappointed that already there hasn't been more discussion and debate about all of this, because how the hell are human beings supposed to participate in a monetary system if they cannot get access to that position of employment which enables them to exchange their labour or their skills for the money to participate in the system? If you've got a mortgage for the next 20 years, you really need to be concerned about whether you will ever make that final payment on that. Because we are witnessing cars that can drive themselves, lorries that can drive themselves, and aircraft that can fly themselves more accurately than human beings. An aircraft using its autopilot systems now can land that aircraft in almost zero visibility in the most foggiest times of the day and with most extreme weathers being thrown at it. The autopilot in the avionics can land that plane better and more safer than a pilot. The future is not looking too good, guys, for a lot of reasons, not just about the climate that is changing. And more important than any of these things, for me, which I really need you guys to start thinking about, is the levels of corruption at the politicians' positions. Just look what we've witnessed, how the money is exchanged from the United States with the billions of pounds of support for Israel, Taiwan and Ukraine. And yes, it's also the same for the UK as well. We saw Rishi Sunak declare openly that they have pledged over £100 billion so far. And you know as well as I do that money is coming back to these people in the know, without a doubt. We live in a time where the governments are getting bigger and bigger, the government departments, and they're not reducing in size, even though we have technology that could possibly do that for us. The technology is not being used in the right arenas. It was said today during Sir Keir's visit to Scotland that one person said that they would need the area twice the size of Wales to produce enough wind energy and to place those wind generators in. And of course we know that we're never going to achieve this, and it is ridiculous in any case, because we are probably one of the smallest countries. We live on a very small island, probably 200 miles or 300 miles from north to south, Scotland to Land's End, and then 100 miles from either side. That's the size of our country. Yet we are being expected to carry the torch of all these green policies and do away with carbon emissions by 2035. This is coming at a great cost on the back of, a pandemic that we've just gone through, and all of the lies and corruption involved in that, and the wrongdoings. Then we are now in an economic crisis financially. People in the UK have to have 2 jobs in order to make, the bills paid in the month. They talk about inflation going down, but it doesn't reflect the average person and his money in his wallet at the end of the month. Because what we see in the shops are not prices going down, but prices still remaining high, and if not increasing. You know, if we continue on this trajectory, it is going to be a very dark and dismal place that we're going to find ourselves in, not just 10 years, but maybe even less. Could well be 5, when we start seeing more of these robots enter the working environment and at the same time doing away with human labour. Because this is a topic that hasn't been touched yet by the world politicians, and it needs to be addressed, because you must be like I am feeling right now. How the hell will we be able to survive in this system? It is like the subject won't even be talked about because the topic is not even important enough. Because it's okay for these people who are very extremely rich and millionaires, but on the other end of this spectrum are people that can't afford to put a roof over their house, can't afford to feed themselves, and during winter times cannot afford to put the heating on at the same time as has a very moderate intake of food. That is where we are right now. We don't have to think about 5 years in the future, and let alone 10 in the future, when more of these robots come into our everyday life and manufacturers rely more on them because they don't need a holiday, they don't take sick leave, and they can work 24 hours a day. You can see why any manufacturer would want these things. With the incorporation of artificial intelligence into a full, robotic capable of doing the same tasks of any human being, it's only a matter of time. Moving on to, the climate and what is being done in that respect. Well, very little, to be fair. Climate change is a real thing that's taking place, but it's not real because of CO2 is causing a problem with our climate, because that's just absolutely ridiculous. CO2 is something that does fluctuate on our planet. Any climate scientist would tell you that during the Milankovitch cycle, CO2 goes up and it also comes down when we go through an interglacial and a glacial period. The levels of CO2 in our atmosphere are not that high in comparison to what is needed to support a wide range of biodiversity, because, as you already know, CO2 is plant food, and if we halve the CO2 currently that is in our atmosphere right now, we will kill all the biodiversity on our planet, and in doing so we will kill ourselves. This is the level of intelligence that is being shown by global governments around the world. And with nobody with the inclination, the motivation, or the will to want to do anything about this, nothing is going to change. And we are looking at a very perilous future. Now you can think to yourselves, well, one way I might escape some of the hardships that are coming would be to have some of my own bug out supplies, a food storage, a bug out bag, be more self-sufficient in generating my own electricity. But that won't suffice your long-term survival, because as you can imagine, when you are the one with those things and there are many without them, you will be vulnerable. Your family will be vulnerable, and you might think, well, I've protected that also. I have probably a kinetic tool which I can use to look after my family should anyone impose themselves on our supplies. You don't understand the numbers that will be involved, that of people will be without at that point. And at that point, they will regulate you by police robots, by military robots. Do you not see this coming? Nobody seems to be really concerned about the human continuity plan for the long-term future, because we are already, in some cases, being made redundant as human beings right now. And that puts just this one species on the planet more vulnerable than any other, because we are the only species that are regulated by laws of survival. You really, really need to start discussing with your families and friends these issues that we are facing. On another note, tomorrow we'll be doing the Earth Health at a Glance over at Patreon. And as I said to you guys, if a few more people want to use that PayPal link down there, we can bring it back for everybody, not just a few. But I'm still waiting for people to show me that that's what they want. Because at the moment there's about 186 people that benefit from the positioning of the magnetic North Pole twice a month, as well as Earth Health at a Glance when we do that. So, if you want to bring it back to YouTube, then, you can start using the PayPal link, we'll bring it back. It's as simple as that, guys. It is not mandatory. So, we don't dictate anything. The only thing for me to say is, please think about some of the issues that we've talked about. And if you can afford yourselves a bit of time to discuss it with your family, then I think you really need to start doing it, because this world is changing, and not for the best for our species. I'll say what I usually do, as always. Take care of your loved ones, and bye for now.